Welcome to The Walking Dead and the Lying Dead support group. We're all kind of in a little bit of shock and awe. We're going to probably laugh because it's tragically not funny, and nervous laughter is the only thing we've got right now. Welcome to The Walking Dead support group. As always, I'm your host in the middle, Alex Mann. To my left, I have Jason McCarthy. To my right, I have Keith O'Brien. We're just going to officially call this a WTF moment, and let's get into our show. Keith, kill count.
Does it matter?
Yeah.
You need to separate the two.
Yeah,
We'll separate
divide
them.
these up.
There's 10 zombie walker deaths, but clearly it's not the kills of the night, but there's 10 walkers somewhere in there.
There's got to be more than 10. They killed 10 at the fence line, right?
No, it was like 6.
All right.
6 or 7.
Well, you're the official counter, so I'll
got
let
10.
you have it.
Somebody wants to debunk it.
Jason,
Here
are
I
you ready
am.
to do our shout out to the... Wow, we jumped up to 743 followers in a very short period of time.
Just tonight.
We went from 729 to 743, so apparently the work by Cynthia and Undead Randy down in Chicago and our tweeting definitely helped. Jason, why don't you take it away?
Now, because this is a half-hour show, we're going to stick with the top 10 new. Kristen Sullivan, these are on Twitter. Kristen Sullivan, The Real Beach Grommet, Christina, Jane S., Liz Nazoski, Lynn Sargent, Shelby Monks, MASH, Anthony Stoops, and Miranda Paul. And on Facebook, we have some new people. We have Christine R. Clement, Kathy Bell, Evelyn Mead, Dana Coleman, Linda West, Crystal Figueroa, Crystal Halter, John Clark, Jasmine Poff, Joy Compton, and Bob Harrington.
Bob Harrington.
Bob Harrington.
I know Bob Harrington. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm still kind of in shock from tonight's episode. I finally feel like we got somewhere with it. Keith, can you call up the video?
I can.
If you would. So I'll dramatically stall. We have some of our followers who've been guest hosts with us, actually in Chicago right now at the Walker Stalker Con. We had Undead Randy. We've had Cynthia. They're down there. There's some of the other followers from the support group are down there. So big hello to them. And recently, Michael Kuditz is one of the new cast members. He plays Abraham. And Cynthia had a moment where she was the first in line to do a Q&A at one of the panels. And she got a great moment with him where she kind of threw a little bit of love back up to us up here. And if Keith could find it a little bit quicker.
I'm trying very hard to find it.
There it is.
There it is.
All right, so turn that around.
Okay. Here it is.
So here it is. This is the moment where she's on interviewing. BJ, if you could zoom in on this. All right, let's try this over.
My question is actually from my friend Alex in Boston. He wants to know your experience from Band of Brothers, how you would have brought that into playing Abraham.
Hi, Alex in Boston, first time caller.
That's great.
I don't know, I think as any actors,
So once again, the Walking Dead support group is having its effect out in places. So thank you to Cynthia for the shout out. It's weird to be on the reverse of the shout out for me. So that was pretty cool having him give me a shout out from down there.
Alex, did you notice your girlfriend the girl dressed up as Rosita, your girlfriend?
Yes,
in that
I did
video?
see Rosita
Did you
in the
see her
front
video?
row, yes.
Okay, I'm just checking.
Yeah.
Just making sure you saw her.
And apparently the live feed has lost the no video input. Okay. And BJ is just throwing his hands up in the air. Well, if they can hear us, we'll go with that, I guess, BJ. Hey, crack staff here. Here we go. Don't worry about it, BJ. Okay. So we're going to continue on as if nothing else was happening. Tonight's episode was called The Grove. And it turns out it was a grove of, what was it, apricots?
Pecans.
No, pecans. Yes. So, and really that was kind of anticlimactic. But the rest of the show wasn't.
Definitely not.
I just this is probably one of the best episodes so far from this season. I'm actually for
Well, they
once.
kept making, like, they kept cracking the pecans and baking the pecans. Like,
Right.
Carol was with the girls the whole time making pecans whenever there was a dull moment. And now, you know, and in the end, they show the pan empty.
Empty.
So pecans did have a point to the show.
I guess, but for me, this was it was certainly interesting to kind
You
of
know
see
what?
how those go
You know
down.
what? What are pecans?
I don't know, all wise and glorious soothsayer of the pecan. Go ahead.
They're like Lizzie. They're nuts. Had to do it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
He has been holding that back for at least 7 minutes.
Nobody warned me.
I try not to warn you. It's just much funnier that way.
Oh, we're gonna get letters. That's all right. So, anyways, it was called The Grove, and it was certainly an interesting run. Why don't we jump right into our favorite kill? Jay, what do you have?
On a less somber note, I gotta say, when Carol killed Lizzie's imaginary friend, that was my favorite kill.
Which one was that?
The one she was playing tag with.
Is that really an imaginary friend? Or, well, I guess your imagination's running rampant on that one, yeah.
At least in her mind, it's
Right.
an imaginary friend.
For me, my favorite, my favorite kill. God, because it just kept jumping around. I have to say it, and Keith, I don't want to steal any of your thunder, but
Don't worry about it.
when Carol took out Lizzie, as it was, and a lot of people were saying this, so I'm going to give credit to the people on our Facebook page. It was like killing Old Yeller, you know, just take her out back, and put her down, and that was the thing, you know. Carol knew that she was always like this, so I mean, she kind of knew this was what you had to do. Keith, your favorite kill?
I liked it in the beginning, early in the show, when Tyrese and Carol go into the house and they say, don't come in until we come back out, no matter what you hear. And a walker comes out from the other side of the porch, does a little half gainer over the railing, and unfortunately Mika, you know, does kill her. She finally gets her first kill under the belt because she was conflicted
First and
earlier.
only.
First and only.
No, she got a couple in the standoff there.
Did she? No, I don't think. No, she says in talking to Carol that she admits that she didn't kill anybody at the prison. She wanted to help. But
No,
she
when,
couldn't.
when the four of them were standing off against those.
No, that was
muggers.
before though.
Timeout.
This was before.
I need a timeout.
You need a timeout.
Yes.
Alex
this
needs a
just
timeout.
in from Twitter. You now have your biggest fan, Victoria Polio?
Victoria Polio.
Yep. Walking Dead support group. Keith's biggest fan.
Oh, that's my biggest fan. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Who is this?
That is.
You got to give this person a shout out. You got to give.
I
him
will
some
give
love.
Victoria Polio a shout out. She is currently a very good friend of Jonathan's, I guess. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
I guess her and Jonathan have
Wow.
seen
So
each
she's
other.
trying to buddy you up to get.
She's trying to butter me up.
Yep.
a little.
She must want Jonathan to borrow the car.
He has his own car.
I'm just saying. Maybe she likes your car better.
It's not. That's the other guy. So yes, Victoria's a shout out.
Favorite line.
She
of the
doesn't
night.
get to see this until tomorrow, but
Well, she's tweeting.
Yeah.
Favorite line of the night. For me, I was taking notes on this one because I had three, but I like the whole world is haunted now.
Yeah.
That took me back to the scene from last week where Bob and Sasha and somebody help me out when they were in the fog with Maggie.
Maggie.
That was like a
Sorry.
very haunting scene. So to me, that
That was
was
a very haunting scene.
that was a good throwback to that kind of visual. So for me, that was the line of the night. It had some meaning, it had some purpose, and it was kind of like some good writing there. Jason, what was your favorite line of the night?
I went with Mika's line. She kind of summed up the whole show, the whole episode, with "I'm not like my sister. I'm not messed up."
Yeah, that was on my notes.
Yeah. And
I liked that one too.
to me, that was the synopsis of the whole show.
Yeah, that one definitely worked for me. Keith.
I like Carol's telling Lizzie that I'll tie her shoes together.
Yeah, that was good.
Because that kind of references, the joke that I'm sure everybody's seen on the internet. It's been on our website that the funeral parlor guy says he's going to help the zombie apocalypse because everybody he puts in the coffin, he'll tie their shoes together. So I thought that was poignant that she actually said that during the show, because as Jason said, that sometimes the creators or the writers maybe pick up on stuff they see on the internet, or
Right.
I just thought that was kind of cool. That was
so
a very favorite line for me.
favorite moment. There was we had a couple of good moments in there for all of us. So, I mean, to me, my favorite moment goes back to your favorite line is when she said, when Mika said, "I'm not like my sister. I'm not messed up."
Yeah.
That really gave us an indication of we didn't know something and Mika did, and we weren't getting enough of the Lizzie background. We just saw Lizzie kind of coming in, saving the day for Tyrese, and we figured, okay, she's toughened up. Maybe she is a tad bit crazy, but Mika outright said, and so you kind of think maybe there was some kind of mental illness or disorder, and maybe she's been off her meds for a while. I even said that out on Twitter. I said, how many of you think she's been off her meds for way too long?
When you look at it too, when she told her to look at the flowers, that's definitely a thing that must have happened before, where that's how she calms her down,
Right.
and tries to get her head back in the game.
Yeah, that's going to be a whole new tagline. I can see the memes coming, probably within the next 2.5 minutes of look at the flowers. You just know that's coming. Keith, what do you have for favorite moments from tonight?
Going along with your favorite kill, I gotta say, sad to see both my little Hillary Clinton girls go bye-bye.
Yeah, that whole scene when they came back.
You got Mika. Rest in peace. She's telling Carol that she can't kill him. She doesn't want to kill anybody. Blah 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 blah. I mean, she turns around. She might as well be wearing a Hillary 2006 bumper sticker on the back of her shirt.
All right. Well, some people don't like our politics, but
Well,
that's okay.
I'm just saying. But I am sorry to see them go, but it was a very powerful scene. I mean, I don't know. They kill these two girls now in this episode, in this season.
Yeah.
Which it's kind of a wow moment. But I know he's a major character, but we could have all gotten away with Carl two seasons ago.
Right.
If they killed Carl 2 seasons ago, we would have been in that room the same tonight going, wow.
Yeah.
Right. That was, and you know what? There were a couple things that came into that whole play for me with Carol having to put Lizzie down. Rick was proven to be right. You cannot trust her around other people. She will make a decision she'll put down the living. But she needed to. She understood that this is not going to be the issue, and she's stuck.
Yeah.
But when she came back and she understood the dynamic of Mika and Lizzie, and she kind of was working on that. She was trying to buffer up Mika, make her a little bit stronger, give her the Carol Scout patch award for being a good camper and all that stuff. It was certainly interesting how she took her out to the flowers and said, just look at the flowers. To me, I mean, and we're joking in the other room, but there's moments throughout this whole episode that was reminding me of other dramatic scenes from movies. That to me was like when they killed Fredo in The Godfather.
Yep.
Was they took him out on the boat and he was saying his Hail Mary. He was centering himself. He knew he was dead. There is no way Lizzie did not know she was getting shot.
I don't know.
She knew she was getting shot. And you know what? I think she was fine with it because she thinks she's coming back.
True.
Okay.
My favorite moment from tonight's show was the moment of truth. I pretty much maintained the whole time that Carol killed
Yeah, I'll give you that.
and killed with Karen and what's his Dave?
Dave.
It was Dave. And to hear her come out with it tonight, I mean, you kind of got the feeling as the show progressed that that's what happened. And when Tyrese was sitting there talking behind her back, and she was looking forward, you could see her reaction to all this, and you knew it was coming. You hoped it was coming finally. So.
Michael, I can't tell you why our competitive show is not up to your standards. But what I can tell you is when you get to watch us on YouTube later, you got a shout out in the middle of the show for saying our show is better than theirs. So thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
Always is.
We all agree. Couldn't have been better.
Well, we saw the promo on The Talking Dead. At least we were laughing.
I
We were kind of laughing about it.
I know.
And they do a cutaway to The Talking Dead, and they're like, oh.
They were like really
And
crying.
who's that? They sat on the couch, and he was kind of like shedding a tear.
I missed the name.
I missed the name too.
Yeah, it was.
So-
It was like I saw that cutout, and I was like, "Oh, good, we're gonna have another Marilyn Manson moment."
Yeah.
That's. I was like, "Oh, give it up." So that one, this was just kind of crazy. So let's get out the whole having to shoot Lizzie moment. The visual of that, the symbolism of it, the meaning of it, the dramatic. We knew something bad was going to happen, and I really thought it was going to be Lizzie killing Mika or Mika having to kill Lizzie. I knew it was going to involve one of them. I did not see Carol doing the old yeller. That is going to, I mean, tomorrow we know the fan groups that are all going to be talking about that moment.
Oh, yeah.
Was it something you needed to see? I mean, they did I think, a good job of telling you. You heard the body hit the ground. You didn't see it. Everyone else we've seen die. You know what I mean?
Well, they did the cutaway to Tyrese's view, and she's just standing there, so we know
we
she did
heard
it.
the body
Oh
hit.
yeah, we heard the body hit the ground, but then they did the cutaway to the scene of the grove, and which I guess wasn't a reference to our show here in Holbrook.
But how often do you see?
But they see that she's just standing there.
Yeah.
But I think Carol knew she was gonna have to put her down like old Yellow style. As soon as she was standing over Mika, she's got to go.
Yeah.
And then she gets Tyrese in the kitchen. It's like she can't be around people. She pulled the Rick on her.
Right.
The only thing she didn't give her was a car and a gas can. And let her drive away.
Well, and that's the difference is though, and Rick does not have to agree with the reasons why Carol has killed the living, but Rick has also killed the living, and and I'm sure he second doubts himself. There's no doubt Carol will probably second doubt herself for this whole thing.
No, it's written all over her
What
face.
Lizzie did, there was no second doubt. Lizzie is obviously detached. She is gone. And,
Was
look,
detached.
well, now she's detached.
Was detached.
But it was just the thought of having to kill a child, and not to go to the political end, but the reality is in this world, which the writers are showing us, you must be willing to kill. You must be willing to kill the living. You must be willing to kill the dead. If you're not, you're going to die. So you've got to be willing to go both ways. And goes back to the group that has Daryl. Why hurt each other when we can hurt somebody else?
Yep.
This is the mentality of why you survive. This is why people like Merle survive so long. They are willing to do whatever it takes, to kill whoever, get in my way, and you're gone. And they're all slowly becoming that. They may have a better moral compass than people like Merle, but eventually it is going to be, this is now survival of the fittest.
Yep.
As a species, we don't really deal with that anymore. We haven't had to deal with that for a very long time.
There's a major difference too when you look at today. I mean, there's people like that today, but you just can't do anything about it.
Right.
You call the police, you call whoever you need to take care of it, within legal means. They don't have that option.
Right.
So they have to take care of these things themselves. It's not something that they can say, well, I'll just, wait for Rick. Hopefully Rick will come by and he can take care of this problem, lock her up or whatever. They don't have that option.
They definitely don't have those options anymore. Next week's episode is called Us. That could have so many meanings, and to be honest with you, all the plot synopsises have been horribly way off and just brutal. So I think we've given up predicting what we want to see from that. I think we just move right on to what do we want to see.
Yeah.
And let me give you an idea here of where I'm hoping this goes, and we'll see what you guys think. Us. How long have we been complaining the storylines are fragmented into individual
Yep.
groups?
Yep.
Is it possible the us is we get to see everybody, or at least a good grouping of everybody?
Yeah.
We believe the house, the fire that was the white smoke now, with the Krispy Kreme walkers coming out, was what Daryl and Beth had done. So they're close. They're coming up that path. We know Bob, Sasha, and Maggie are coming up the train tracks.
Yep.
We know Glenn found her note. So that means Abraham in that group is in there. So we know this is going to happen. So what do you think? Do we think that could be the us? So
I think the us will be like us. They're all us back together. Like you say, they finally get together, and they're gonna have to recover, so to speak, and like who's missing, who's not missing, and they're all together. And what's hopefully they're not gonna go into a rehash, obviously, but leaving the walker on the track is gonna give us a timeline to where they are.
Right.
Because now.
that's a great point.
Now we're going to see people walking down the tracks, and hopefully everybody's going in the same directions, but they're going to walk down the tracks and see this walker. And maybe somebody's going to put it down, probably my call would be Michonne, just,
Right.
and that's the end of that guy.
Walking by with
Just
a
walking
walking
by,
stick.
she's not even going to
Pick and
stop.
stick.
Pick and
Like,
stick.
like the crews that go out
She's
and
just
do
gonna, she's just gonna
the
take
highways.
that one, like, she hasn't killed anybody in 3 weeks, according to us. She's just gonna jab it right in the head. But I think all of them, us, will see that walk around the tracks before they all get together.
Jay, what are you thinking?
I see the introduction of Terminus. I see, I don't know whether it's an active community or not, or whether it's a dead community, but I think that they're all going to meet at Terminus. I think we'll see the introduction of the hunters and whatever conflict is going to come between the hunters and the main group, which will be wrapped up in the last episode of the season. So I think they need to introduce that whole part of the plot so that they can wrap this up.
See, one of the things that, if we remember the map to Terminus, was that there were multiple lines going in. And in Terminus, we have looked more into it. Kirk came up with a great reference to it last week, where about the ancient Romans, and it literally is the god of boundaries and border lines and stuff like that. And what the Romans would do, they would put a bust of that god along their boundary line. So if we see some kind of something that looks like a head or a symbol or something like that, we know they're definitely tapping into that. But the other thing is that within the railway system, the terminus, which I always thought it was a terminal, but when you do a search for terminus, it really does reference a rail line, and that's the end of the rail line. So if you ever remember the old style railways, which I mean up in north they're not as common, but there used to be circular houses where the train would come in and it would get rotated inside. We haven't seen anybody in a circular building. That's pretty easy to kind of defend because you can see in all directions. So that's not a bad place to fortify yourself. But a lot of people are thinking it's a trap.
I think it's going to be kind of like the CDC. It's just going to be a dead end. I think those signs have been up for a while. We're talking 2 years now, whatever. I think it's just going to be a dead end.
But I thought they said all that arrived survive.
Well, if they don't
Well,
survive,
we all know nobody survives.
They're not going out and changing the signs.
Right.
What I'd really like to see is a train go by. I think that would be cool.
Oh, that would be great.
Right.
You know,
Or you know what? Let's get
If-
the old hand cart rail. That'd be, and that's what can run over Lizzie's friend.
What, with the two guys from Blazing Saddles?
Yeah, I was going with the guy from Oh Brother Where Art Thou.
I think you
At
do
the
that
end,
too.
Yeah, that'd be good. A little,
I would die to see just a train go by, even if it was just like on the run, like I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to see.
And here's
I don't
one
want to
thing we
see.
missed.
I mean, I don't want to see walkers at the controls. I just think it would be. But I'll go with the hand cart.
Right. Here's
and
one
go
thing
on-
we missed. We know we're about 2 years in, right?
Yeah,
All right.
Yeah.
And the gas is still on in that house.
I got a theory on that.
Okay.
If the house is so far into the woods and it's got its own pump well, like an old-fashioned pump well, it's probably got propane.
All right.
So if the tank is full, then the propane would supply the house with no problem. Because she had to light it. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like it was like a permanently pilot-lit stove.
Okay.
She lit it with a match.
All right.
Of course, this match is still around too. But we don't know how long that house has been empty. That house could have been empty for a long time. But that's my theory on the gas.
And obviously this is a stretch, but in the last recent, year or two, with the flooding in Japan when they had the tsunami, those nuclear reactors got swamped and overrun because there was nobody there taking care of them. Mm-hmm. We're 2 years in. How is it that there is no electricity anywhere? There's got to be a plant still going. There's got to be a nuclear plant supplying somewhere. And why hasn't it gone into critical yet? Or what happens when it does?
Yeah.
Sooner or later, those things are going to stop working. The satellites are all powered by like a nuclear
should be going and
cell up there.
Those will keep going.
Cell phones should still be working as long as you can power them. And we've seen cars driving around, so you could obviously charge a cell phone. We know somebody was transmitting from the radio, which is why I don't think Terminus is empty.
Yeah.
I think there are people there. The question is, who are they? And if you go back to the one with the rage, oh my God, I'm horrible tonight. I need more sleep. Another 24. No, what was?
Oh, live another day.
No,
Oh,
the one in England, but the soldiers had
hours.
used the radio to draw people in, and then what they were looking for was women.
28 days later.
28
28
days.
days later.
Yeah. So 28 days, they used a radio frequency to draw people in, and they didn't want men; they wanted the women. So that was, it could very well be some kind of trap like that. I mean, who knows? We're eventually going to find out. I can tell you this: we've all kind of complained about the stagnant storyline. I'm curious, how do you feel about the storyline as of now? Like tonight, do you feel satisfied?
A little, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this has, at least in this storyline, you know, if we go with the fact that each episode is based on a group of characters, this episode ended. You know, the other episode didn't end because you got Beth in a car, we don't know where it's going, and we got Daryl hooked up with these guys. That didn't end.
Right.
You know, and there's an online theory that that group of guys is the guys that were in the house that Rick was in.
Yep.
So I saw that, and that, you know, that's kind of
I totally buy that
That's
one.
credible. All right. So this episode, I mean, great powerful episode, but at least this episode ended. Carol and Tyrese decided we can't live here, and they're moving on.
Right, it
You know,
didn't
and
just
it's,
leave more questions,
You know,
it had some
and
answers.
and Carol confesses to Tyrese. Tyrese forgives her.
Yeah.
All right. So that storyline's that's a closed chapter in my book. They moved
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
We still don't know what's going on with Daryl and Rick, you know, Daryl with the group and where Beth is and what Maggie and them are doing. You know, they just kept walking down the track. So
Well, all we know really is that Michonne is looking for more cheese whiz,
she's with him.
Carl's looking for more pudding, and Rick is just shaking his head.
Well, at this point, then he should be 300 pounds heavy with all the pudding.
Right.
All right, so what normally we do is we wrap it up with something that we've learned tonight. Jay, did you learn anything tonight? Because I know last week you didn't feel like you did.
Not really. This week, you know, it was already touched upon. I feel like the writers really do. I mean, if you ever watched a, you know, making of type movie, you see actors ad lib and throw in their own words. I think the writers kind of do that, where they pull things from Twitter, from Facebook, just.
I'm sorry. There's a great one on Facebook. So if you could speed this up because we got to wrap up the show. What's the short version of what you learned? Give me the cliff notes.
The writers take stuff from the fans to kind of draw them in more and say, "Oh wow, we talked about that." So that's it in a nutshell.
So Billy says, what I learned tonight was never ever look at the flowers.
That was good. I knew that was the way to, yeah.
That's good.
Oh, that's so good. Thank you, Billy.
I don't know why he doesn't come up here anymore, but I'll get to him.
I think he's on a short leash.
He's,
I'm saying it. It's right. I called you
right.
out, Billy.
No, it's fine.
You only come up around Halloween.
Yeah. But it's a good Halloween.
Absolutely. Keith, did you learn anything tonight?
I've learned that one of the things I mentioned was Carol just walked up to that fence and, you know, the prison had like the carabiner on it.
Yeah.
You know, Carol just walks up and opens up the fence and just walks in. All right. She didn't think twice about it. So this goes back, like you say, what writers do. But this just goes to really, to me, is like a production gaffe or continuality. You know, it's like she just walks up, undoes the fence, and starts walking in. I mean, if that was my house, I think I might have started shooting back.
Yeah.
You know, so what, you know, I've learned that they write it to benefit our favorite characters.
Right.
You know, it just proves positive. And, you know, the other biggest thing we've learned is no character is safe. And we all know this in this show. In any program, no character is safe. So.
There's a discussion going on right now on our Facebook page. And so if you're catching up to this later on, if you're over in the European areas and catching up to it, jump in on this one. But Michael Nicholson brought up that a lot of this episode was referencing of Mice and Men. And where Cynthia is down at Walker Stalker Con, they were actually talking about it down there too. And I guess it's being also mentioned on our competing show, which absolutely blows the doors off of us in ratings. So that's okay. I'm not jealous. But it's one of those things where, you know, that's why I love this whole group, because it's just a great topic to kind of jump up like this, but we're running out of time. What I learned tonight was I actually feel satisfied with this episode, that I've been waiting for a major character to die. I didn't really consider Lizzie a major character. I think she became a very strong secondary character. I was shocked when she killed her sister, because I was thinking maybe it's going to go the other way, because we knew something shocking was going to happen. But I'm actually finally satisfied with some of this. I think the writing got much better in this episode. I think the symbolism got much better in this episode, and the storylines. The thing is, Tyrese and Carol having that moment of forgiveness. I'm not going to forget, but I forgive you. Fantastic moment. You know, I thought that was just, there were a lot of good moments like that, and a lot of, oh my God. We probably said, oh my God, in there about 4 or 5 times. And that was, I finally felt like we were back on track with the show, that we're getting that shock value of what keeps you coming. So for me, I finally feel like we're back on track. So next week, we've got 2 more episodes after this.
2.
So we'll be back again next week, and then on the big finale, for those of you who are local and are on our Facebook page or on our Twitter, if you're interested, we are going to do a limited number of invites to come up, actually join us live in studio, be part of a panel. Our goal is to bring back all of our guest hosts, so from Jordan to Cynthia and Undead Randy and Vinny DiGiacomo, who's become like a regular fill-in when one of us is medically on our deathbeds.
He was my date Friday.
Yes, he was.
I won't ask.
Okay. All of a sudden, we're talking dead again. But anyways, I digress. That's our goal, is to kind of wrap up our season. We've had a lot of fun. We want to do this right. So we want to try and get as many of you guys up here and as many of you involved into this live online discussion with us to kind of wrap it up. We're going to do an extended episode that night for us. Hopefully, it's going to be a fantastic one with lots of good cliffhangers and everything else. So be sure to follow us on Facebook, on Twitter. We post this up on YouTube again. Tell your friends, tell your family. Wear your Walking Dead support group T-shirts with pride. We definitely got to do another kind of order. We tried something and it just didn't work. So we'll come up with another idea. So to my left, Jason McCarthy. To my right, Keith O'Brien. I'm Alex Mann. Thanks again for joining us here on the Walking Dead support group.
Right.
Be sure to walk on.